Why do all the girls have to buy pink stuff and all the boys have to buy different color stuff?
And we are live. We are live in our lonely corner of the internet with 0 viewers at the moment. So, I wait. Alright, let's see if I launch. Alright, so I'm going to launch Skype and see if the whole system crashes. That would definitely ruin the show for me and my 0 viewers. Well, let's go over and see see what we got here. Latest version. I'm gonna say not now because I'm live on the air. But there's nobody there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have a rant for y'all, but you know, I can edit it together. Hello, and welcome to NOLAz TV. Hi, I'm Larry, the male lesbian, with you once again, and my website is malelesbian.org. That is a portal for Zeitgeist New Orleans. Ever heard of the Zeitgeist Movement? Well, remember, here's my t-shirt. And what we advocate is the scientific method, but applied to societal problems as a whole, in general. Not machines would actually be made for a purpose rather than for a profit. And the movement I'm in here, for some reason there's a bit of a rift at the moment. Man. Anyway, I'll get into that much later, especially if you log in and let me know if you're familiar with the movement. And since I don't have many viewers tonight, I can tailor it to my audience. What would you like to talk about? But the material I have is basically get Ron Paul out of this movement. That's the main idea of tonight's show. This has got to be done. I mean, we've got to purge the movement, if you will. And, you know, it's an open movement. Anyone can join. There's no barring. You can't, like, physically kick people out of it. It's a movement of ideas, of the idea of using the scientific method for social concern. You know, hard to kick people out of that, right? But the ideas of Ron Paul are just fundamentally incompatible. I mean, with what we believe in, the Zeitgeist Movement. There's just, I mean, it's worse than oil and water. I mean, I don't really believe in opposites in this universe. I think that's a false choice, a dichotomy that's created in our own minds based on the fact that we have two hemispheres and two sexes and things like that. But there's really more possibilities than just the two, hence the name male lesbian. But I digress. But if there ever was an opposite to a resource-based economy, that would be the very thing that we're fighting against, which is a market-based economy. And that's what Ron Paul represents. I mean, he represents the old guard, believe in the free market system in the same way you would say believe in God, you know. I mean, it really is a religion. And there's even, you know, atheist, secular libertarians, and that's their religion, is the market, you know. Ayn Rand came up with this psychopathic philosophy that the individual is the most important thing, uber alles, and screw y'all, I got mine. And Ron Paul's a libertarian, and Rand Paul is a libertarian. And that's a big problem, because resource-based economy is about sharing resources, not owning them. You know, it's the opposite. Now, here's the thing. If the majority of you in the Zeitgeist Movement really want to support Ron Paul, then I'm out. Okay, that's the end of that. But I don't believe that that is the case. I don't believe that that is the case. I think that most people understand this is a non-partisan movement. So when I'm talking about purging Ron Paul supporters, I'm talking about just by demonstrating the fact that these ideas, these libertarian ideas, are completely and utterly incompatible. That the individual won't be purged, but the idea will be. So I would think that you should be made very uncomfortable in the Zeitgeist Movement if you are also a Ron Paul supporter. And by uncomfortable, I mean in your own skin. I mean, I need to plant doubt in your mind and have some cognitive dissonance so that you are uncomfortable about holding these contrary ideas at the same time. Let's see, now I do have Gregory just popped in. Good old Thunder just popped in here on hey, got a chance to need a favor. New part. Well, alright. So, I mean, you know, I guess, you know, I'm not really getting any viewers here, and, you know, nobody's watching my show, so, I mean, is this the deal? You know, I don't like Ron Paul, so I'm out. Is that what's happening? You know, I just got a thing from Thunder saying to take him out of my intro. You know, what's going on? I thought this was all about cross-promotion. How come I'm getting the freeze here, you know? So, you know, that's it. That's I'm laying down the gauntlet here, you know. It's either me or Ron Paul. You know what I'm saying? Now, I've got a plan for a transition, and I can execute that plan with or without the Zeitgeist Movement. But I just cannot understand, I just cannot believe that Neil Kiernan on V Radio the other day had the Libertarian guy on, the Libertarian for President. And he was saying, well, I used to be a Libertarian, and so on. I understand where they came from. I understand it's religion. I understand, and it's like, hey, that's great. That's exactly what I want to hear. But then he agrees with the Libertarian that taking someone else's money to do a purpose, even if it's a good purpose, is immoral. And I'm floored, it's like, come on. Maybe the Zeitgeist Movement isn't what I thought it was. I understand that it's supposed to be a big tent. It's supposed to be people, disillusioned with the divide and conquer tactics of our, political and socioeconomic system. Dividing liberals against conservatives and so on. But come on, use some freaking common sense. Libertarians want the market to rule everything, and the resource-based economy wants a marketless, moneyless society. You see the inherent problem there? I cannot. I've been trying. I'm serious. I've been trying for the last half a year. In fact, what really blew me away was I went over to Zeitgeist Austin and met with Zeitgeist Live people, and I took some videos and stuff, and I had this big, I was going to do this big show about how I went to Austin, and these were the city parks look like, but when I found out that they were mostly Ron Paul supporters, I kind of shelved the material. I kind of was like, whoa, how exactly do I present this? How in fact do I interface with this movement any longer? If its main proponent, people who espouse it, also want Ron Paul to be president? It makes me want to cry, and the people at the Zeitgeist Austin, they're way cool, cool, very, I give it up to your coolness. You're very hospitable, and we had some great conversations, but I just don't get it. I don't know. And then the rumors that somebody gave a house to someone in Dallas in order, for the cause of the movement. That's kind of scary too. When people start spending big bucks, money has a corrupting value to it. That's why we want a moneyless, resource-based economy. I don't want to be infiltrated, COINTELPRO, and somebody from the Cato Institute or something, like buying their way in. On the other hand, if rich people do become disillusioned and want to add their resources to the movement, I could see that being a very good thing. But, we have to tread carefully here, and I just think this whole Ron Paul thing is just ham-handed, and it's just insane. How can this be? I've never gotten a clear explanation of that. Steve, the Mississippi coordinator for the Zeitgeist Movement, we were getting pretty tight. He came down here, we did the Zeitgeist Mardi Gras, and we had all kinds of sprouted for the event, and had homemade pizza and everything, and had a good old time. You saw it on earlier episodes of NOLAz TV, and He supports Ron Paul. What the expletive? You know? Seriously. I just... You know? So that's it. I mean, you know, it's like I see that, you know, my viewers have evaporated and, you know, that I'm not getting much activity on the Zeitgeist New Orleans Facebook page anymore, not getting any emails. So, you know, hey, if you all want to do Ron Paul, that's cool. I wish that you would just go join the Ron Paul campaign and leave the Zeitgeist Movement in the process. Or, you know, change your mind about Ron Paul and come to the Zeitgeist Movement. But I just don't see... If the Zeitgeist Movement can do that, if they can hold that kind of cognitive dissonance, you know, I can't live in that kind of discomfort. I just can't do it. I won't do it. You know, maybe I'll go over to TVP advocation or something, but, you know, I don't know. There's IC.org. There's, you know, intentionalcommunities.org. But I want to change the world. I don't want to go back to some robber baron era where there's no income tax and, you know, you know, there's no antitrust laws and, you know, I mean, if we're going to have capitalism, if we're going to have a market system, it should be a well-regulated one, you know. I mean, this system requires a lot of laws to make it produce any kind of public good. That's the whole reason why we want to change it to the Zeitgeist Movement, where we don't need as many laws because we don't have as many conflictory vested interest. Ron Paul is more of the same. You know, he's the exact symbol of what we're supposed to be fighting against. Or I don't know if fighting is the right analogy, you know, but come on, you know. So anyway, so, you know, so nobody shows up on the Interviewtron 5000, and nobody's showing up in the chat room tonight. So, you know, what's it going to be? You know, are we really going to do this? I mean, yeah, I know it's an election year and there's some opportunity there for exposure or whatever. Well, this is what you do. You go to a Ron Paul rally as a Zeitgeist member, and you hand them DVDs and flyers and stuff like that. And talk to them about how Ron Paul is insane. Because the system he's espousing is insane. Because it's the very system that we currently live in, and look around you, it's insane. You know, you reach their intellect that way. But yeah, I mean, you know, if you know, hey, if you watch this show tonight, email me at larry@malelesbian.org. Or Skype with me right now. I'm on Skype, Malesbian on Skype, all one word. Or whatever, Facebook. But you get in touch with me, and you let me know that this show is actually reaching somebody. Because, again, if the Zeitgeist Movement's been infiltrated, then I got better things to do at my time, you know. So if this is not worth your time or while to watch or to comment on, then, you know, I got no business doing it. But But anyway, so I tell you what I'm going to do. I've got some episodes already in progress of being edited. That one of them is pretty short and sweet. I just haven't gotten to it because I'm like Buckaroo Banzai. I had lived probably 4 or 5 different lives. But anyway, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to post an episode where I have a Ron Paul supporter who's also a Zeitgeist member, and I interview him, and I would say that he didn't do a very good job, you know, defending his side or promoting his side or however you want to frame it. But he wasn't, you know, very emotionally tied to it. He was just like, hey, you know, it's one idea of many, and we should look into it, and that kind of thing. You know, so it's very civil. But in that interview, I really lay out, you know, why in more detail than what I can just hear on the fly tonight without somebody prompting me or asking me questions. So, hey, I did get some activity in the chat room just now. Hey, listen to this. I've got a guy named Strong7_7. He says, hi! And he says, F you, man. Only he's got it actually spelled out there. And then he writes, gay. And then Strong7_7 has left the room. Yay! So that's the kind of viewers I get on this show. Again, I mean, if this is not beneficial to you, then don't write or tell me how to improve. Or write to me and let me know, hey, this is, you want to see what's happening here in the Zeitgeist Movement in New Orleans. You know, do you want to see that? I mean, you know, it's a major city. I've got 400 DVDs to pass out. Been waiting for any of the 60-plus members of the Zeitgeist group on Facebook would ever post a, you know, any kind of a event of their own. You know, that would be nice. Instead of me posting all the events and, you know, I mean, is this really going to happen, people? You know? But to the extent that I can make it happen, I'll do some events and I'll take some video and I'll bring it back to you right here on Zeitgeist Broadcasting Network. And, okay, so gay and shut the F up. Okay, that's really great commentary. Why don't you... I mean, that's vague. I have no idea what you're talking about. But anyway, yeah, so, you know, people just come in to insult me. You know, that's really great. Well, she said sorry. Okay, well, or he, I don't know. But the point is that, look, you know, I really care. I really freaking honestly care a lot about the future. It's the only thing that's real to me, you know. You know, I grew up in the 1970s. You know, I'm 40 years old, and I grew up in the 1970s. And back then, okay, you're a dude. Okay, cool. Back then, I mean, we had the space thing going. I mean, the adjusted income for individual was like more than twice what it is now. I mean, anybody who wanted a job could have one, and the adjusted for inflation minimum wage was between $12 and $18 an hour, depending on the study you look at. So, I mean, it was good times, and people looked at that and extrapolated into the future and said, we're going to be George Jetson by the year 2000. Wow, you know, we're going to have flying cars and, you know, 20-hour work week, 10-hour work week, robot butlers, you know, living on Mars and all this kind of stuff, you know. Well, that deadline has come past. I figured by the time I was 30, I would start to see this. I would start to see more of a Star Trek-like existence that didn't depend on this capitalist system. And, you know, where basic needs were met by computers and robots, and you didn't, you know, need to sell your labor anymore. Everyone was liberated. Leisure society, democracy that we've all been dreaming of and been promised since the founding of the United States, that, you know, we the people could govern ourselves and have a leisure society. So, Drama says, what are you doing? How are you talking to? I don't understand how. You mean, what am I talking about? And in order to know that, you'd have to listen, I guess. And hello, back to you. Thanks for watching. But anyway, you know, so that's a promise I was given when I was a kid, was that, hey, we're going to the moon this decade, we're going to Mars a couple decades later, we're going to have this leisure society where we won't need rich people or poor people anymore. And all through the 80s, I watched Star Trek Next Generation, and they had it all laid out, and they definitely did predict the future. They had tablet computers on that show back in the mid-1980s, you know, not like it is now. So, you know, cell phones getting tinier and tinier, and so on. So, and so who am I talking to? I am talking to the Ron Paul supporters who are infiltrating the Zeitgeist Movement and thereby undermining it with the exact opposite philosophy. They are completely out of phase with the brainwave of the Zeitgeist Movement. And I am talking to, it looks like 3-4 people in this room right now, as well as the archive viewers, that are members of the Zeitgeist Movement mostly, but also anybody else who happens into this room. And, you know, the Zeitgeist Movement, what we believe, is the scientific method applied towards social concerns so that machines are actually built for a purpose at a societal level rather than for a profit for an individual. So, for instance, the Google car that drives itself and is now licensed and on the road operating today in Nevada. Well, and you can look it up on Google, you know, or look it up on YouTube, and you can see it. It drives itself, uses GPS, uses radar, and all that kind of stuff. And with that technology, we could make a transportation system where you would no longer have to drive, you no longer have to worry about DUIs, or you would no longer have to worry about parking tickets or speeding tickets, and you would be free from the ownership of owning a car, which, you know, 22, 23 hours a day just sits in your driveway, taking up space and using up resources unnecessarily. So that could really free people. I mean, imagine all the time you would get back if you didn't have to pay a car payment and you didn't have to pay insurance and all that kind of stuff, if you only had to pay for the little bit of car usage that you actually used for the actual service. And that's what we advocate, is things like that. Now, Ron Paul supporters, on the other hand, they advocate the continued use of money in a market system, which, let's face it, is pretty schizophrenic. I mean, the market system has no logic to it. It does not reflect any good virtue of humanity whatsoever. It's very reactionary. It's like, you know, just reacts to whatever current outrageous thing happens, you know, and has real impact on people's lives. And, yeah, I mean, it's owned by rich people, you know, to do their bidding and so on. Now, here's the thing. I got, you know, all this, you know, expletives in the chat room, blah, 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 you, this, that. And you know what? What that means is that there's some teenagers in the room, anybody who's like seriously here to watch, don't let that throw you. These teenagers, they say that to everybody. They go from room to room to room and just, has nothing to do with what I'm saying or anything else. It's not relevant to anything. But if you'd like to participate in chat, we can do that seriously, with a serious conversation if you like. Obviously, I'm not going to respond to all this stuff in here other than to say that it exists. But yeah, that's what I'm saying is like, this thought virus of market economy being the end-all, be-all, the end of history, like, oh, well, now we have markets, so that's it, is ridiculous. Like capitalism is the last system we'll ever see. Like we went from, empire to feudalism, and had the Renaissance, and then we had capitalism, and that's it. It doesn't go on from there anymore. That's ridiculous. And that's what Ron Paul supporters believe. Now, by the way, this right here is a homemade glass. This is manufacturing in the home. It's called upcycling. It's used to be a wine bottle, but now it's a drinking glass. 3D printers, grow your own food. Well, folks, that's basically it. I really wish you would write something intelligible. I really wish that if I want to believe that there is a better system. The market system is it's an upgrade on feudalism, It's a better system than feudalism, obviously, right? And I want to believe that it will do what it promises to do, that it will make a better world for everyone. But it's kind of to believe in it is kind of a utopian extreme, because that is not the world it has produced. And just look out the window. Search your own heart. This system is very destructive in almost every way imaginable. So to continue to support it is complete folly. And supporting Ron Paul, or frankly any candidate for president, is folly. I could make the argument that, we all, here in the Zeitgeist Movement, we say, we're disillusioned with both the right and the left. We say that, on the right, they're crazy because of the market system is crazy and the Fed and so on, right? But then, on the left, they're crazy too because it's really a uniparty, because they're really owned by the same corporate powered interests. And so, people could argue, I would get Ron Paul in there so that he'd take the velvet glove off of the iron fist of capitalism, and people would really see what was going on. They'd become disillusioned with the whole system. It would come crashing down sooner. That's one take. But then another take is well, I could say the same thing about Barack Obama. He gets his second term, has this big chance to change the world, continues with appointments like Paulson, continues with the Patriot Act, continues with the tax cuts for the billionaires. And, the left is going to be like, look, we gave you 4 years in good faith, but we're not going to give you a fifth or a sixth, right? So the left would be disillusioned. And then they would look for, put their foot down and say, hey, we're no longer going to take it anymore. We're not going to vote for either party. We're going to do a third party. We're going to do Zeitgeist, Venus Project. We're going to form communes. We're going to, But, and so we could argue it both ways, We could argue that we could support Ron Paul. We could argue that we could support Barack Obama. We could argue that we could support Mitt Romney. I mean, even he would take the velvet glove off of the iron fist of capitalism if he were to be elected, So you could argue it any kind of ways. But the way I understood it when I first joined this movement is that we are nonpartisan. We do not support candidates at all, period. I remember there was a guy, Scott Weller or something. He was on Neil Kernan's show on Z Radio, and he was running for president of the Zeitgeist Party. I understand third parties, their main purpose is to get dialogue into the general public. To put ideas into the debates that wouldn't otherwise be there. So, I can understand why you would want to do that. However, again, we are nonpartisan. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what is the platform going to be? Dismantle capitalism and start building machines and cities? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. But we do live in the real world, and this is an election year, and it would be nice to capitalize on some of this somehow, but I just don't see a way. I just don't see a way without tearing this movement apart. And I'm telling you right now, I and a lot of folks will leave this movement if it becomes a Ron Paul rally, And if it gets taken over by COINTELPRO or rich people, it's if it's going to be like another freaking Koch brothers deal, where it's really AstroTurf. I don't want to be part of that. I want to actually change the world. I don't want to pretend anymore. I want to do this for real. Okay. So I tell you what. I'm going to post some more archive episodes, and I'm going to plan right now to not do an episode next week at 9 p.m. Central. And if you don't like that, you can let me know at larry@malelesbian.org, Malesbian on Skype. I'm easily reachable, so... And in fact, I just cleaned up my email today. So I'm ready for you. So hey, if you want to start this conversation, debate, whatever you want to call it, if you think Ron Paul's the way to go or not the way to go, or if especially just let me know that you've actually watched this show, just period. Then because I'm a very busy man. I tell you what, I cannot even tell you why or in how many ways, but barely holding it together, as I'm sure most of you are as well. But that still doesn't give me an excuse not to change the world. Because if I don't change it, who will? If not me, who? If not now, when? Right? So write to me, Larry@melesbian.org, if you appreciate what I do here at all. All right, well, my fate is in your hands, and it's up to you now.
The old appeals to racial, sexual, religious chauvinism, to rabid nationalist fervor are beginning not to work. A new consciousness is developing which sees the earth as a single organism and recognizes that an organism at war with itself is doomed.